After 7 years of unrequited love, I finally decided to let go of Ethan. Returning to Yuncheng, I found someone who truly cared for me and agreed to get married. But on my wedding day, Ethan suddenly showed up with a group, trashing the venue and pressing a gun to my fiancé's temple. "How many lives do you think you have?" he growled. "To dare marry what's mine?" The moment I posted the wedding announcement online, a friend called. "Sophie, is this marriage thing for real?" I sorted through guest list RSVPs, answering calmly, "It's real." Laughter erupted on the other end, voices overlapping. "Come on, you're just messing with Ethan, right?" That post was totally meant to provoke him. "Yeah. Sophie, you're not seriously ditching all of us over a fight with Ethan?" Hearing his name froze me for a heartbeat before I steadied my voice. "This isn't about him. I'm genuinely getting married." I'd scrubbed every trace of Ethan from my life when I left Northern City. That social media update? Visible to everyone except him. My friend snorted disbelief. "Ethan, you hearing this?" He mocked. "Better start groveling, or Sophie's gonna walk down the aisle without you." Only then did I realize they put me on speakerphone in front of Ethan. These trust fund brats had always orbited around him. Their friendship? A courtesy extended solely because I'd been Ethan's shadow. In Northern City, I'd had no family. No real friends, just him. "If she's actually marrying someone," Ethan drawled, voice dripping boredom, "I'll fly to Yuncheng myself with a wedding gift." Someone chuckled. "This is obviously Sophie's way of forcing you to commit. After all these years. She deserves. She's just a regular friend." Ethan cut in, ice in his tone. "What commitment does she deserve? 7 years chasing him. And that's all I was, a regular friend." Though in their elite circles, apparently regular friends kiss. Regular friends blur every line couples cross. He'd been the one to coax me across those lines, only to later hide behind that hollow label. A chair screeched violently. I winced, pulling the phone away. When I pressed it back, Ethan's parting words sliced through, "Tell her if she's not back by tomorrow, don't bother coming back ever." I stared at my trembling hands, smiling bitterly. His cronies resumed their chorus, "Stop this tantrum. Sophie, just apologize and come home." How many times had I swallowed my pride to patch things up? I'd believed loving someone meant never giving up. But when disappointment piles high enough, you suddenly see the cost. Their voices swarmed, cajoling, minimizing, demanding I kneel again. "Sophie, enough with the drama." This time, my voice didn't shake. "I'm not playing games. It's real. The wedding's next Tuesday. You're all welcome to attend." Silence. Then disbelieving sputters. "How? You've liked Ethan for 7 years. How could you possibly settle for marrying someone else?" "Yes. I've loved Ethan for 7 years. So how did I eventually find the strength to walk away?" My father saved Mr. Harper's life. After my parents died, the Harpers took me in. When I first met Ethan, Mr. Harper introduced us. "This is Sophie, our family friend's daughter. She'll be living with us from now on. I hope you two become good friends." We did become great friends. He hated studying, so he'd dump his homework on me. Before exams, I'd outline key concepts, predict test questions, and cram last-minute reviews with him. When he got into trouble, I'd cover for him. Every time he needed favors, Ethan would sling an arm around my shoulders saying, "Sophie, aren't we friends? Friends help each other, right?" Since the Harpers raised me and Ethan was their only son, I could never refuse him. Not even when his school romance got reported to the principal. Ethan begged me, "Sophie, she's not like you." That goody two-shoes would cry if the principal looked at her wrong. You're the valedictorian, the principal's golden girl. Even if I said we were dating, they'd go easy on you. I pressed my lips together, remembering what I'd overheard his friend say in the stairwell earlier: if you don't want your girlfriend taking heat, just make Sophie admit she's the one dating you. She's crazy about you, she'll never say no. But seriously, Ethan, Sophie's gorgeous. Why aren't you into her? Ethan had scoffed. Read fewer fairy tales. She's not our kind. Prince Charming and Cinderella only exist in storybooks. My first thought then was, he wasn't wrong. What shocked me was realizing Ethan and his friends had known about my feelings all along. Now Ethan draped his arm around me like usual. Sophie, we're friends. You won't let me down, right? He was correct, I couldn't refuse. Fine. His fingers pinched my cheek in triumph. I stepped back from his touch. But you have to break up with her. Deal. His instant agreement startled me. I stammered. Your father knows about the relationship. Ending it now protects you both. Ethan cut me off with a smirk. Don't bother explaining. Even if I dump her, I'd never date you. My face froze. His grin turned cruel. We're friends. After all. Friends. If he'd actually treated me like one, maybe I wouldn't have trailed after him like a lovesick puppy for years. Everything changed summer after graduation. He called me drunk from a party. When I arrived, his friend joked, Ethan, Sophie's always cleaning up your messes. Just date her already. Ethan glared. Date my friend? That's disgusting. He claimed we were just friends. Said the idea was disgusting. Yet he was the one who kissed me in the car when I least expected it. Sophie, he murmured. They weren't wrong about you being beautiful. My mind went blank from the shock. Letting him lead me out of the vehicle like a sleepwalker when we arrived home. Ethan wasn't drunk. Every calculated move he made that night proved his sobriety. When he asked about my college plans, I nodded confirmation about attending State University. Everyone knew Ethan was destined for overseas studies arranged by Mr. Harper. Yet on move-in day, there he stood beside me at the State U orientation. Why? I blurted out during the drive. Ethan slouched in the passenger seat. His gaze piercing. You really need me to spell it out. Sophie? I mistook every shared movie night. Every casual dinner. Every lingering momentous proof of something more. But to others, Ethan still introduced me as just friends. The words shredded me. Just friends? I confronted him through tears. Would you rather be campus gossip? He countered coldly. I thought you understood me. Sophie. The truth was I didn't. Not really. Yet I kept making excuses. Swallowing my predetto meant every rift before his inevitable departure. My mind clung to memories of 15-year-old Ethan defending me from bullies mocking my accent. Come to me if anyone bothers you, he'd said, a promise that later twisted into his own sharp-edged teasing. Through college, I watched Ethan orbit beautiful girls while comforting myself that his inner circle acknowledged our undefined bond. Everything shattered 3 years after graduation when Grandma's terminal diagnosis coincided with me finding Ethan embracing Emily outside his apartment. Emily, his high school sweetheart from the art department. The only girl he'd ever officially dated. The real reason he'd stayed. Frozen steps away. I heard her laugh. Remember how Sophie used to trail after you? You told me she was reaching above her station. Her manicured finger traced his collar. All those years together at State U, surely something happened? Nothing. Ethan answered without hesitation. We're just friends. The familiar phrase crystallized 7 years of delusion. Hearts aren't stones to be warmed, they choose where to glow. That night, I deleted Ethan from every app and boarded a flight leaving Beijing behind. The neon haze of Yuncheng skyline welcomed me with quiet authenticity no illusion could match. Everything here feels so real. Grandma's health improved significantly after I returned, giving her the energy to start setting me up on blind dates. I understand her reasoning. I'm just afraid that once I'm gone, you'll truly be alone. She said. Those relatives can't be relied on. If they were, they wouldn't have sent you to your father's friend's house after your mother passed away. I want you to build a family. Find someone suitable, preferably someone who loves you, to take care of you in the future. So when she introduced me to Grandma Zhang's grandson, I didn't refuse. Grandma Zhang's grandson was Ryan Johnson, tall, nearly 6'3", with striking features, broad shoulders, and a tapered waist. The kind of guy who'd never lack girlfriends. On our first meeting, he handed me a bouquet of lilies of the valley. Unexpected. I'd assumed roses were standard for blind dates. You don't seem like someone who needs arranged dates, I said bluntly. Ryan smiled, nodding. Neither do you. A small mole beneath his eye lent his gaze an air of quiet intensity. Later, I told Grandma, Ryan seems nice, but I get the feeling he's got a dozen girlfriends. Nonsense. Her laughter crinkled her eyes shut. I've watched that boy grow up. Sure, girls flock to him, but he's a good kid at heart. Besides, she trailed off mysteriously. Besides what? I pressed, but she refused to elaborate. The sly old woman loved keeping people guessing. Both grandmothers pushed hard for our match. Ryan played along with their antics so effortlessly that I began feeling like the ungrateful one. Sophie, want to give this a real try? He asked while we were shucking corn in the fields. Not exactly a hallmark moment for declarations. Yet when those words left his lips, my refusal evaporated. Yuncheng summers aren't sweltering, but the sunlight stings, frozen in that golden glare. I finally confessed about Ethan Harper. I expected hesitation, retreat. Instead, Ryan said earnestly, few people love that deeply in today's fast-paced world. Sophie, you're better than I imagined. He had a gift for praise. Moments earlier, he joked, Sophie, you're a natural at shucking corn. The Yuncheng dialect rolled smooth and warm in his voice. As we spent more time together, I realized Ryan's looks were his least remarkable trait. Humor, romance, humility, filial devotion, respect for women, his virtues outshone the stars. Grandma's health waxed and waned. During flare-ups, she'd obey doctors like a model patient. Until the day I overheard her whisper, "How long do I have left? Doctor, please save me. I can't die yet, my Sophie hasn't settled down. Who'll keep her company when I'm gone?" I closed the door softly, sinking onto the corridor bench. When I pulled out my phone to call Ryan, I looked up to find him already approaching. Grandma said your grandmother's ill. Is it serious? He was breathing heavily, clearly having rushed over in a hurry. It's not serious. I forced a smile and shook my head. Ryan was tall, I had to crane my neck to meet his gaze. Ryan. Yeah. Will you marry me? I already knew the answer before the question left my lips. He wouldn't refuse. Ryan had loved me openly, unmistakably. Yet he still looked stunned. Are you sure? MHM. My voice softened. You don't want to? I do. His eyes crinkled with spreading warmth. Noticing my strained posture, Ryan knelt before me. Suddenly, the dynamic shifted. Know why I gave you lilies of the valley when we first met? Their meaning is, I'll wait patiently until happiness returns to you. Sophie, I've loved you from the moment our eyes met. The wedding was entirely Ryan's doing. I'd assumed haste would mean simplicity. But when his assistant walked me through the itinerary, I realized the depth of his care, a grand, cinematic affair. On impulse, he admitted, "Stay with me more these next few days? Please?" I nodded agreement. Later, When Ryan dropped me off at my apartment complex, one of those aging buildings mostly housing retirees, we both did double takes at the cherry red sports car parked illegally by the dumpsters. Sophie, Ryan hesitated as I turned to leave. His fingers brushed my wrist. You won't regret this. Will you? Regret what? Choosing me. Marrying me. Never. My answer came firm and immediate. This wasn't some impulsive decision. Ryan. I don't do things half-hearted. The flickering streetlight cast shadows across his face as he stood 2 steps below me. When he smiled, the tiny mole beneath his eye danced. If you ever do regret it, I'll know it's my fault. I'll make sure you never have reason to. I watched his retreating figure until he disappeared around the corner. Turning toward my building, I froze. Ethan leaned against the graffiti-covered wall, materializing from shadows like some brooding specter. His laugh carried an edge as he pushed off the wall. Congratulations are in order. I hear. His voice dripped mockery, recalling his phone thread about delivering wedding gifts personally. I forced a smile. Here to wish me well. Ethan? Who was that? He demanded instead, jaw clenched. Why are you here? I countered. He pocketed his hands, dark eyes glinting. Why do you think? That infuriating non-answer transported me back to freshman orientation at Stanford, when I'd foolishly believed his ambiguous comments meant something. Not anymore. To deliver that wedding gift in person? My voice stayed light. How thoughtful. The streetlight chose that moment to die completely, plunging us into darkness thicker than the tension between us. Ethan's face was grim. Today marked the 3rd day since he'd learned Sophie intended to marry. On the first day, he'd assumed this was another of her temporary tantrums. By the 2nd day, still blocked from her contacts. He glimpsed her social media posts through a mutual friend, photos of Sophie smiling beside that man. Now the realization struck, she might actually go through with it. So what if she marries? He told himself. He'd never truly cared for her anyway. Their flirtations had only persisted because she was stunningly beautiful and hopelessly devoted. Why not indulge? But that night, he dreamed it, Sophie in another man's arms, repeating every intimate moment they'd shared. Ethan jolted awake, booked the earliest flight to Yuncheng, and now stood glowering outside her apartment complex. Who was that man? He demanded again, jaw clenched. The question mirrored countless ones Sophie had asked him over the years, back when Ethan's orbit constantly swarmed with gorgeous women. She'd first inquired timidly, met with dismissive just friends. Later, his patience evaporated. What's it to you? Sophie? Stop nagging. Now their roles reversed. She refused to mirror his evasiveness. My fiancé. We're getting married soon. You're welcome to stay for the wedding. Ethan barked a laugh. Using marriage as leverage? Please. His confidence stemmed from 7 years of her unwavering devotion, how she'd trail him like sunlight. How everyone agreed she'd never truly walk away. Believe what you want. Sophie said evenly. Fine. Ethan yanked out his phone, dialing loudly. Let's invite the whole North City crew to witness this farce. Let's see if you've got the guts to say vows in front of me. His shout drew curious faces from upstairs windows. Sophie! Her grandmother emerged, a silver-haired sentinel shoving Ethan back. Go inside, sweetheart. I'll handle this ruffian. Ryan's coming any minute. As if summoned, Ryan reappeared, the polar opposite of Ethan's brashness. Where Ryan extended a courteous hand, Ethan sneered, You think this is real? She's just forcing my hand. Ryan's composure held. You don't know her. She doesn't play games. You don't know her. Ethan's control snapped. We grew up together. 7 years, kissing, touching, everything. You think she'll settle for? If I want answers, I'll ask Sophie directly. Ryan's calm sliced through the rage. Not scavenge them from bitter exes. When he recounted these things to Ryan, his tone was smug, dripping with self-satisfaction. I pressed my lips together watching Ethan, an indescribable bitterness swelling in my chest. Ryan squeezed my hand, a silent reassurance. Looking down, I heard him counter Ethan, "So what? She liked you for 7 years. I've loved her for 13. Mr. Harper. Her past feelings for you aren't her fault or some stain on her character. Actually, I admire her capacity for wholehearted devotion even when it wasn't directed at me. Knowing how deeply she once cared for you only makes me respect her more. It guts me that you took her love for granted. Which is why I'll spend every day making sure she never doubts being cherished again. Truthfully, I should thank you. Without your blindness, my secret might have stayed buried forever." Anything else to add? Mr. Harper? The words left both Ethan and me stunned. He stood frozen as my grandmother grabbed a grimy broom from the corner. "Think our Sophie's easy prey?" she barked, brandishing the dust-caked bristles. "Try bothering her again, I dare you." Ethan recoiled in disgust but managed a parting sneer. "You really believe this farce will last?" Later, by the open window, Ryan's call interrupted my brooding. Grandma slept fitfully upstairs, exhausted from the night's drama. She'd wept earlier. Clutching my sleeve, "I failed you before, letting you endure so much heartache." Truth was, I'd been treated well during my years with the Harpers. Mr. Harper ensured I wanted for nothing, matching Ethan's privileges in every detail. Out of gratitude, I'd personally mailed his wedding invitation weeks ago. His regretful text still glowed on my screen. "Apologies, overwhelmed with business commitments. Wishing you every happiness." Ryan's voice pulled me back. "Home safe? Grandma resting?" "Yeah." I traced the moonlit curtains. "Earlier, those 13 years you mentioned." A pause hummed between us before he chuckled, warm and rueful. "Every word true. Sophie." My pulse quickened. "Even the part about, before we met?" So when you said love at first sight, I gripped the windowsill. "Ryan. Had we? I knew you." He cut in softly. "You just never noticed the boy trailing your study group, memorizing your coffee order." Cursing myself for never speaking up. His sigh carried decades of longing. "But maybe, we're meant to focus on what's ahead now." Wind tousled the curtains as I swallowed past the lump in my throat. Outside, fireflies winked like scattered stardust, each flicker rewriting the night's darkness into something luminous. Fragile. Breathtakingly new. The wind outside grew louder, with faint rumbles of thunder in the distance. Ryan said, "The storm's picking up. We might get rain." Suddenly our wedding came to mind. If it rains, can our outdoor garden wedding still happen? "Of course," he answered without hesitation. Even after hanging up, I tossed and turned restlessly. Ethan's threat resurfaced in my mind. After prolonged deliberation, I unblocked his number and sent a meetup request. His first words when we met were, "Come back to Northridge with me." I shook my head gently. "Ethan, we're finished. You don't get to decide that alone." His jaw tightened. "Sophie, we never even broke up before you ran off to marry someone else. What the hell am I supposed to be to you?" Technically he was right. I'd left abruptly without explanation. Still, we were never actually together. Weren't we? His eyes darkened. All those nights. Those trips. You never confessed properly. I interrupted. "No, will you be my girlfriend?" No official commitment. Tracing the rim of my coffee cup, passers-by found me unconscious with hypothermia. Uncle Harper nearly had a heart attack when he saw me hospitalized. I'd never been that sick before. Ethan refused to meet my gaze. "Sophie, it was an accident. You know I'd never." I smiled with practiced calm. "Of course. Ancient history." The steam from my latte blurred his familiar features. "Let's stop reopening old wounds. Ethan, Just, don't contact me again. Slapping bills on the table, I strode toward the exit. His fingers closed around my wrist. Come back to Beijing with me and we'll get married. Desperation cracked his voice. You always wanted commitment, didn't you? I'm offering everything. Before I could respond, car doors slammed. Ryan materialized like vengeance in a tailored suit, peeling Ethan's grip from me. You're manhandling my fiancé. Mr. Harper. Ethan's fist flew. I stepped between them, adrenaline bitter on my tongue. Touch him and I'll have you arrested. We're done being friends who destroy each other. Disappear. Now. His laugh curdled. You never raised your voice at me before. Now you choose this outsider? He's not an outsider. My knuckles whitened around Ryan's hand. He's my future. You're the ghost. In the idling Mercedes. Ryan's composure fractured. These panic attacks. I keep imagining you'll leave me at the altar. I squeezed his knee. Our engagement ring catching light. I'm marrying you, Ryan. Full stop. The memory curdled when Ethan crashed our wedding weeks later. Gaunt and wild-eyed. He shoved a pistol against Ryan's temple as bridesmaids screamed. Think you're man enough to steal my girl? Spittle flecked his cracked lips. Ryan shielded me. Voice steady. Walk away. Harper. The door burst open. Uncle Harper disarmed his nephew with military precision, the gun skittering across marble. As security swarmed, I glimpsed the boy I'd once loved crumbling beneath meth-fueled paranoia, a stranger screaming promises until sedation dragged him away. Ryan's hands found my shaking ones. Still want that beach honeymoon? His kiss tasted of salt and survival. Without hesitation, I slapped him again. Have you lost your mind? Making a scene here? He dragged Ethan toward Ryan. Director Johnson. This is entirely my failure in disciplining my son. Please accept my deepest apologies on behalf of the Harper family. He signaled his bodyguards to restrain Ethan. I'll remove him immediately. This won't affect your wedding. Ethan fought against the bodyguards desperately, even grabbing scissors to press against his own throat. Force me to leave and I'll bleed out right here. The threat worked as the Harper family's sole heir. His father couldn't risk further confrontation. Surveying the chaos in the bridal suite, I calmly walked up to Ethan and slapped him with such force the room fell silent. Disbelief flooded his features as he stared at me. Had enough drama, Ethan? My voice cut through the stillness. If you're done, get out. His lips trembled. Sophie. What did I ever do to deserve this? My words cracked like ice. Was ruining my wedding day your grand finale? The scissors clattered to the floor as bodyguards seized their chance to restrain him. Ryan appeared at my side, his arm possessively circling my waist as he glanced at the subdued Ethan. Shall we? Our guests are waiting. During the vows, I glimpsed Ethan weeping in the shadows. When I uttered I do, his choked sob prompted bodyguards to gag him with a towel mid-ceremony. Later, my grandmother tearfully embraced me after the reception. My Sophie won't be lonely anymore, she kept repeating, unaware of the earlier commotion. On my return from seeing Grandma home, I overheard Ethan begging his father near the rose gardens. Just let me explain to Sophie one last time. His father's weary sigh carried through the night air. You had years to claim her. Now she's Mrs. Johnson. Let it go before Ryan destroys us all. Ryan found me standing motionless in the moonlight. His thumb brushed my wedding band as our hands intertwined. Was bringing the Harpers here your doing? I asked quietly. His smile didn't reach those calculating eyes. Merely expediting what was inevitable. The diamond weighed heavy on my finger as we walked toward the waiting limousine, its engine purling like a contented predator. Ryan responded softly. Ethan's pretty wild, but he's terrified of his father. That's why I sent Mr. Harper a wedding invitation myself. He seemed surprised to learn I was marrying you. Oh. I see. I nodded. When I stayed silent, Ryan asked again. Tired? Not at all. The weather was beautiful today, with a clear blue sky and a gentle breeze. Tilting my head up to look at Ryan, I whispered, Ryan, I think I remember what happened when we first met. So you'd already liked me back then? Ryan stopped walking. With a smile, he kissed my forehead, then my eyes. Yeah. I love Sophie. I've loved Sophie since way back.